Let me know if my sound's okay. I got a new mic, so just want to make sure everything sounds alright on your end. But yeah, just want to take a look at the markets. I've seen some a little bit of movement. Got some got some interesting news this week with Greenland. Markets have kind of liked that and have been rallying up since. Start talking about I have it on BTC right now, but let's go look at traditional markets. Look at the S&P. Let's see what happened here. So S&P lost a pretty major trend back from April. It actually lost it over Martin Luther King weekend. We gapped down. We started right around here, and we've actually closed today above where we opened the week, so above the weekly high. And we've taken the CME gap left behind. So it's a decision point. Like, look, it's either gonna, this should be a great place for a lower high to form, you know, for eventual rollover. But it also could be another chance for it to run up and maybe sweep the highs once more, stopping some people out before maybe a bigger move down. The one thing I do want to point out with the S&P, we lost a low. We lost a daily low right here. So any lower highs that get put in, that's a daily break of structure. Any lower highs that get put in, this low is going to be key, around 67.80. If it loses that, that'd be a daily market structure shift that would basically, on the higher time frames, that would start a downtrend for it. So that's something to keep an eye on in the coming days. Let me get this video up out of here. So I'm watching that on S&P. How's everybody doing in the chat, by the way? NASDAQ's kind of in a similar boat, right? We lost a similar trend from all the way back down here, right? Look how far back this trend goes. So we lost that trend, and we're back testing. So we're in a very crucial area right now. We're up against the 786-618 golden pocket. We've filled the gap that was put in over the weekend. We're up higher. The next high would be the high that we've been struggling to get over. So 25.8 to the high, to the top. And if we rolled over here, again, same scenario, break a structure on the daily. The low to watch on the NASDAQ will be 24.9, I think. Opinion on SMR? Yeah, I can take a look at it. This is energy, right? Nuclear? Okay. Look, I've been watching SMR for a little bit. I got some TA on it already. We've been in an uptrend since 2024. This line seems to have a lot of weight, right? Every time we get down here, we bounce significantly. Also, what do you notice on this on stochastic RSIs? Every time stochastic is loaded up at the bottom, right, is at the lows, price bounces off this trend. So we're at the bottom. Stochastic RSIs are completely reset. To me, it looks like it's forming a low. What I was anticipating was this. We'd come down, put in the head, shoulder, head, and I said if it can put a right shoulder in, I'm looking for it to move up. My first area is 32. We're starting to put that right shoulder in right there. So it's starting to look bullish to me. Not there yet. We still need to break the neckline, or really, in reality, we need to break that $22.50 to about $23. You break that, you open up the door for higher around 32. And if you can get back above 32, you get accepted into this auction house here, which can take you up to 48, possibly even up to the highs around 57. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing on SMR. It looks bullish right now. Let me go look at the volume real quick on this thing. Sorry if I just my nose a lot. Got a little allergies or something going on today. Volume looks good. Let me look at the volume. Volume's trending up on the daily. Weekly, same scenario. Yeah, I wouldn't fade this thing. I think this thing has a good chance of this inverse head and shoulders playing out, taking us back up to this $32 area. One call today, planning on buying 3 contracts total. Might be too early. I don't know if it's too early or not. I wouldn't know, but I mean, hey, I mean, if you're doing contracts, as long as you can, like, I guess with options, you have gamma, right, which is like your decay or something like that. as long as you push the contracts far enough out, I mean, I could see this playing out over the next few weeks. Going into the end of Q1, maybe into Q2. So this could be a couple week play. So just keep that in mind, I guess, for the play. As long as you're good with it being 3 to maybe like 8 weeks out for this play to actually like mature, I think you'll be all right. Because look, I'm looking at a weekly right now. It could take 2-3 more weeks before this thing actually starts to move up. The ticker's SMR. Let me see if I can actually throw the tickers in here so you can see them. There we go. I'll just clip out the bottom part. You guys don't need to see what's at the lows. So SMR, so you can see what's up there. Let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick. You just got looking at the traditional markets. It could go either way, man. It really could go either way with this week. So we need to see what happens. We do have some interesting things happening tonight. Japan, the Bank of Japan has their interest rate decision. Now they don't plan on raising it. It's supposed to stay at 0.75 basis points or 75 basis points, which is what they raised last time back, I think, in October or November. But the big thing to keep in mind, or it may have been December, I'm not sure. Anyway, the last meeting they raised. But it is important to keep in mind that like they're going to discuss potentially the yen situation that's going on. I don't know if you guys are following the yen, but look at this chart real quick. Before I get into anything else, I want you just to take a look at this. This is not good. Like, this is the yen right now. Yen to dollar ratio, right? So it's just been dying and nuking. So every time we have a rate cut, it pumps. So that was the last rate cut, hike that they did for Japan. It was right around here, and we pumped up. So we're starting to come back below that point. So I got a feeling they're gonna announce something soon to try to prop this up and try to force people to, basically force them back into the yen so they can close out their trades because they have to, reevaluate. I don't know. That's a lot of stuff. Any trades right now? I don't know. I don't know if there's any trades. I was in a BTC long. Let me go over BTC real quick, and then I'll show you what trade I'm looking at. So I was in a BTC long. I'm still in it. But let's get some context on where we're at. BTC is still in this bearish channel, right? It's a bear flag. We came down. We actually faked out to the downside, and now we're reclaiming it. So to me, if we reclaim, I got a feeling that we're gonna push back up to stop out some of these longs up or these shorts up here. So we could push up 94, 90 is about like our first area for a pit stop, and then I think we could get back up to 98 if we can reclaim. Now on the flip side, if we manage to just roll over and lose this, we're probably coming down to 75 or lower. Truth be told, like 75 right here is probably the first target we're going to, and we may go lower than that. But look, BTC's been struggling all day, but it's holding on, right? So we've been closing above this trend. Now I gave you the context on why this trend's important. Yeah, dude. I mean, look, here's the thing. I don't trade SFPs, Twee. I don't trade SFPs. I have my own style. I do breakout retraces. I look for bounces. I'm a bounce. I look for bounces. Whether it's a back test, whether it's a retrace, whether it's a breakout, back test, anything like that. Like that's my style. I look for patterns, stuff like that. So my style is different, and I trade in the live group. I mean, Ben gives his levels of importance, but how you trade that level is on you. You know what I mean? He's just giving levels that he's watching. If you want to SFP it, or you want to look for a breakdown market structure shift on the 5, like I do sometimes, it's just kind of like a back test, and you can do that too. So yeah, absolutely join, dude. Absolutely. CME gap at 93, there may be, right? So look, BTC is consolidating above support. We had some strong candle buy-ups from this low. Now what's important, right? Where did we bounce this morning? This was important for me on BTC. When you pull your fib, we bounce off the 618. That means buyers, traders are coming in here. So we're putting in a higher low right now, but it's not confirmed until we can break Asia high, which is right here, this high we put in this morning. So we need to break this 90,400, 90,300, and then I think it's game on. Like I want to show you something real quick. If we do break this level, why I'm in the trade, while I'm in the long. If you look at the volume, do you see how volume fades out right here on the right hand side? My VRVP. That's a gap. That gaps us up to like damn near 93,000. So this is why I'm anticipating if we do push up and we can break this high, this 90,400, we're gonna have a nice push up to the upside, maybe $2,000-$3,000 on BTC. I can do Soxel. Just give me a second. Let me finish this analysis here. Why I went long today? Well, we actually caught the low here at the 618 this morning in the live. By the way, for anybody who's asking about the live, me and Nick Dunkey, we were watching it. We watched the bounce and we're like, hey, this might be it. Like, we were in this little pattern. We had a little bit of a trend kind of going this morning, and we're like, hey, this might be the move. Sure enough, it was. We've made this little money line, right? And we popped up. Once we started breaking, I was like, and we did that little back test here. I'm like, oh, it's time to go long. And that's where I went long. I went long on this low, around 89.2. And I've been loading up. Every time it hits 89.2, I put a little bit more in. So my target's to at least the high at 90,400. But if it breaks that, I would like to take it up to 93. So that's my trade at the moment. I got into some crazy stuff. What's up, Parker? I have a swim meet, just want to pop in. Have fun with the swim meet, dude. I'm not sure what that entails. I'm guessing you're going to be swimming. Are you competing, or is it just like you're competing against another team for a meet, right? It's not just like a practice. Sorry, I'm illiterate to that kind of stuff. Alright, so let's look at Soxel. That was coin? You mean like Coinbase? Are you asking about Coinbase? Twee? I was talking about Bitcoin before, but... So look, we broke out. We've been in an uptrend on Soxel since $7, right? Let me get rid of some of this stuff here. This is old TA. Let's just start fresh. So we've been in an uptrend. Pretty apparent. We were consolidating for a bit right here, and we broke out. All right, it was a little consolidation, it broke out, back tested it right there, and now we're pushing up. What's our target? Well, the next level is about this $70. That's the next thing I'm seeing on the chart, so it makes sense that if we make our way up there, that will serve as resistance. So keep an eye out around $70.60. If we can break higher than that, you can see how on the weekly, right? You have 3 highs, 1, 2, and 3. Each high got a little lower. So you just take a trend and run it from the top one down. We're almost at the high right now, right? Based off the trend, if you can see what I mean, run touch, 2 touch, we're almost at that high. So I would watch that too, but that's more of a secondary. That's not going to be like a major high for me. I think really $70 is what I'll be watching. It's up right now, man. I wouldn't go trying to short it or anything like that. I mean, look at this trend. It's pretty strong right there. That's on a 4-hour. So maybe it'll come back down, retest this 4-hour for a little bounce. All right, and then continue up to kind of tack these highs. So when you get around that $69, $70 area, that's probably where you want to get a little defensive. But unless it loses this trend, if it loses this trend, that might be an early sign it's getting ready to roll over. But while it's above trend, I wouldn't fade it. Soxel dropping off the Intel earnings today. You think it'll continue? Well, you know what? A lot of times they do sell off after these earnings. It's just people selling news, who are already in trades, made their money. I'd wait till tomorrow. I mean, the market structure looks good. You haven't broken any market structure. If it opens up tomorrow below like 55 and it can't get back above 55, then you have something to worry about. Then it's a 4-hour break of structure. But if it doesn't go anything below that, you're okay for now. Yeah, sold covers. Nice. But there we were talking about options yesterday in the group. I was so lost, dude. Not for nothing, but like options is like a whole different ball game than futures. So they were using jargon, and I had no freaking clue what they were talking about. They're talking about covered calls, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know I know what a call is. I don't know what a covered call means. It was kind of funny. We do like weekly talks. Can you explain this whole thing to me? I am young, want to understand. Explain what whole thing? Trading? Like what we're looking at? I mean, right now we're looking at charts. This is a semiconductor. Someone requested. I mean, it's hard to explain exactly like TA, but it's like something I can't do on a conversation. If you're interested in learning more about TA, dude, check out our website and check out our Discord. They're both free to join. TacticalEdgeTraders.com. Links are in the bio, dude. You can check that out, and you can join our Discord from there. We have tons of free educational stuff that can kind of get you acclimated and understand what you're looking at and what we're doing here, and you'll start to understand like once you kind of get past some of the basic beginner stuff, what I'm talking about right now will make a lot more sense. This is not like super apparent to someone who's never looked at a chart or has even like been in the markets before. So get yourself a little acclimated to that kind of stuff using some of our educational content, and then I can kind of break down your. If you have questions, you can ask them in the Discord, and I can help you out there. APLD, I'd say it's forming a bull flag. Anybody check it out? I'll let you know what time frame. Applied Digital Corporation. Yeah, I'd say that is a bull flag, right? Let's look at some context behind it. Well, we're at all-time highs. That's what it's looking like right now. So we're flagging out. This is gonna go one of two ways, right? I'm gonna give you the bearish and the bullish. So we're flagging out, but we didn't take liquidity at the all-time high. So that's a good sign. That means what it's doing is building up for a potential move up. Anytime you start to consolidate below a resistance or above a support, it's a sign that they're chipping away at the orders and they're building strength to move through. So that's usually a good thing. The trend so far is up, right? We don't have any reason to believe that it's not. We have immediate support. We're kind of finding underneath of us right here, this little wick. All right, you can see we're kind of holding this as support. It was a previous high we broke out of. We could come down a little further if they wanted to. I mean, look, realistically, this thing could come down. I like this little box right here. I'm going to draw it out for you. This from this high down to like here, down 27. Realistically, it could come down that far and still remain bullish. What I would do is track this here. I wouldn't go longing it because this could just be a distribution. You don't know. You need to have proof. So just track the flag. All right. And if it is going to break out, it's going to do one of two things. So like the way I would look for it is like if it's going to break out, it's going to pop, it's going to back test, confirm, and then it's going to run. They don't always play out that way, but you'll usually get it. But if like it's going to play out either that way or it'll break out the all-time high, and then it'll confirm the all-time high. So that could be two ways to enter the trade if you're looking for it. I don't really like the breakout trades near resistances, but let's say it did decide to just chop around for a while, right? It made its way into this golden pocket. I'd start looking for bullish divergences to confirm a reversal here on the shorter time frames. You know, like the 4 hour, 1 hour. And then I would maybe try to catch a long from down here. That would be a lot juicier of a trade to maybe take up. Because then you build yourself some runway to the all-time high. So even if it just gets you to the all-time high and it decides, hey, we're not going to bust through, at least you have, you earn profits. So that's just the way I trade. I can do iron. But yeah, I'd watch this $30 down to 27 for potential. If it loses this $34-$35 level it's at now, those are your next levels to the downside. Look for a bounce. Now, if it could hold this level, watch that top trend because that may indicate a breakout to go attack the highs. So, yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. Iron. All right, so I had some analysis on this before. Okay, let's see what's going on. This is what. All right, so let's do this fresh from the daily. Iron peaked out. This is a top, right? This is a high. Two highs. I guarantee there's bearish divergence. There is. There's bearish divergence right there. New highs, momentum shifting down. So that's indicating, a macro high. Right now, we are getting a bearish retest. We won't know if it's a bearish retest until one of two things happen. This high gets taken out. Pretty much is the only way we can confirm that this is not a bearish retest. So we don't know how high it's going to go, but if it comes back up, it needs to take out 76. Areas it could put in a lower high are your macro 618 right there around 60, 61, and around 67 are two good areas that could put in a lower high. So I would watch those two boxes. I'm going to just draw it right here like a little box. This is like an area you get defensive as this pushes up, but it's not there yet, so it still has some more room to the upside. What it's bouncing off right now is just a little bit of a support. It had an SR flip right here. You can see at one point, this line right here I'm drawing around 49.20. It was resistance, right? We flipped it, it became support. We lost it, it became resistance again, over and over. We banged our heads on it, and then we finally broke out, and now we're back testing. So for me, this is confirmed support for the time being. If we lose this level, that's my first sign that it's probably coming down to attack some of the lower 40s. Somewhere maybe some liquidity down at 42, possibly down at 37. But you have to always be mindful that anything that gets put in here on the higher time frame could be considered a lower high on the macro on this thing. So you got to be defensive. This may just be a bounce for now. Now look, on the 4 hour, so I think we requested the 4 hour. It looks okay. Like I said, we're above support. As long as we remain above this support, I think they're going to come attack these higher levels, maybe 60 up to 68, 69 will be the next areas I'll be watching. And if you look on the chart, it makes sense, right? Like, look, see, this is the next major high up here is around 68, 69. So, do we have a little bit of a trend here? I think we do. Yeah, we do have a little bit of a trend. We lost it for a moment. So you could track this on the lower time frames to see what's going to happen. This would be another early sign that we're going to break down. I don't really see a trade at the moment, but hey, if you were going to take a trade off support, you're at support right now. So I would watch this level. If you break down, then watch this 49 support. Lower than that, like I said, it could come down to like the low 40s. Above this, I think it just chops around and makes its way eventually to attack these levels up here above. So it's kind of my analysis on like the 4 hour. I'm using the 1 hour to kind of show it off, but yeah. HUT? What is HUT? I can go look at HUT. HUT. Sorry, I'm typing it in. Oh, I gotta take this out. I had a Zin in. I forgot to take it out before the stream. Don't judge me. Alright, so HUT. I have no idea what this is. Well, it's been pretty strong for a while. Look at this on the weekly, right? So weekly high is above us. That's from 2021. Somewhere up here around $82. We have some major support below us, is which we called support off before, which was around 31. And we're bouncing off some local support right now. So right now we're bouncing off this level here. You can see how we're catching support was the previous high. So if it can hold above this, then yeah, the uptrend continues and your next real big level is up here at this $80 level. But if you start to lose that, then you start to kind of flirt with the idea of maybe coming back down even as low as 30 to 31. So it's important to hold this level. Let me see if there's divergence. I don't see any divergence yet. Now, if the weekly rolls over here, if this stochastic rolls down, it's going to create a bearish divergence. That would probably strengthen the case that we're going to come back down here and revisit this $30 level on HUT. But for now, let's see if it holds above this 55. If it can hold 55, then hey, man, maybe 80 is in the cards. But it's looking a little toppy. It is looking a little toppy. I don't want to make any calls on what direction it's going to go because I don't know at the end of the day. But if I was like a trend trader, I think you already lost trend. Yeah, you did. Right, so you were trending up. You lost trend. You back test it. You can even see on the 4 hour how it back tested. So tried to hold it, back test it, failed to get back above trend. So I'd really be watching this $55 level to see if you lose that. That's probably going to indicate a further move down. So you're at a crucial level. It's make or break. But it is looking a little toppy, like it wants to pull back a bit. You might get some pit stop around 46 on the lower end. It's a daily low. So 46 could be a level of interest if it does lose 55. You could expect a little bounce there. Maybe we could see something like this. Or, maybe it comes down, gets a little bounce. Tries to get back above 55. If it fails, then you expect further downside. Otherwise, maybe it'll bounce and maybe it'll get the steam it needs to move up, Pullbacks don't necessarily mean it's bearish. It's just Sometimes they got to pull back to get induced buyers to push the price up higher. That's all. AMD. Yeah, no problem. By the way, guys, if you're not following, give us a follow on TikTok. And if you're watching on YouTube, same thing. We do lives pretty much every day, daily. Content just like this, educational stuff. Check out charts, talk markets, shoot the shit. All right, so did some TA on this thing already. All right, let's get rid of this right here. Let's just build a little bit of a picture. We've been in an uptrend since March of 2025. You have 1, 2, 3 established trend touches on the weekly, right, on this trend. Now, you did leave behind a CME gap, right? We left this gap back from September when AMD gapped up, and it's holding the top of that gap as support. So 200 to 202 is support for me. You also have this trend which is moving up. It's dynamic support at this point. So it'll continue to move up as price action moves further. So right now you got this trend and you have 202 as the bigger supports to the downside, right? To the upside, you got 267. You break 267, you're back in price discovery. Trend continues up. I think the next likely area if you're breaking 267 is probably going to be 300. I'd look up there. Psychological number just makes a lot of sense if we do break up. Just like when we got to 200, like right around here, we flipped 200. 200 became a big number. You know, the numbers make it's just a psychological thing with investors. So for now, it's uptrend, man. You go to a lower time frame like the 4 hour, you may have a little bit of a money line here we can track. Yeah, you do, right there. It's not crazy, but look, you got a little bit of a money line. You got some support sitting here at around 238, some local support. So maybe if price pulls back, you could look for a little bounce around 238, maybe down to 236 on this trend to take us back up to attack this. But I think ultimately, as price is going up, as long as the trend's up, I think this 267 is the target. So we'll see what happens when it gets up there. Maybe when we get up there, maybe it's not ready to break through, right? So if you see something like this, where price pushes into it, fails to break out, right? Closes underneath and gets a little back test like that and then doesn't break out again, it's probably going to be a bigger rollover. So that could be a short play. So nothing here's financial advice, guys. Just FYI, it's just me, some guy on the internet talking about what he sees in the charts. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing on AMD, man. AMD looks good right now. It's in an uptrend, but you may have a temporary pullback. You know, you're looking a little toppy in the short term. Look like it could afford a little bit of a pullback and still be bullish. Should you enter at the bottom of the flag or do you wait until it breaks? That's up to you, man. If you're confident, so like here's how it works for me. Like I'll give you my example how I would do this on AMD. So let's say AMD is bull flagging out, starts the bull flag from here, creates a little bit of a trend, and then price action just does the typical boom, boom, right? Just a little bull flag price action. If it's coming into a major support like this right here, like I just marked out, I will entertain a long on a flag at the low of the flag. It has to be near major support, or if you're looking for a bear flag, some type of resistance, because just longing the bottom of a flag doesn't necessarily guarantee you that's the low. You need something else there too. So you look for the low that lines up with some type of support, whether it's a trend, whether it's a previous high, maybe it's a Fibonacci, that kind of stuff. So that's where I would enter if I was entering a low. Now, if you miss that entry, this is your secondary entry. You wait for the breakout, you wait for the retest, and you look for the... So this is like entry 1 somewhere down here, entry 2 for me. That's my trading style. This one's a lot harder and a lot scarier, but if you're watching, you set your alerts and you plan it out in advance, you can catch those, and they're juicy trades. I could look at CAT. Hope that answered your question. Yeah, what are we looking at here? Alright, so CAT. Let me just go fresh on this thing. Alright, so CAT. We've been trending up for a long time. You could even say the trend extends to up to here. This is a deviation, reclaim. And you're having a breakout. This was the previous high that you just broke out of, right around 627. You can see we broke out, and now we're back testing it. So, look, 627 is your support right now on the daily. That's your daily low. You lose that, you're probably coming back down to test maybe around 594 and maybe this trend. So that's a potential to the downside, right? If this loses this level, potentially down here. You lose this trend, you got bigger worries, right? There's a lot of liquidity all stacked up down all the way down to like 270 it could come back for. But for now, the trend is up. So let's just get that out of our minds. You know, it's not going to try to get all bearish about it. You play the trend until not. Now look, if it decides to hold this level here, which it may well, right? This thing could just keep going up. 700 probably my first level because it's the next whole number. I don't really think there's any history on this that goes this high, so this is all price discovery for Caterpillar. Let me see if there's anything that goes back in the past. No, nothing this far back. So you're in price discovery right now. So I mean, it could do what it wants to do. It just depends on the amount of buyers and the demand for this thing. So, but yeah, man, you hold above 627 is your media support. Hold that. You're good. You're good, man. There's no reason to get bearish on this thing. You do got a trend underneath here on the 4 hour you can watch too. If you're long, watch that trend, right? So you got 3 touches on the 4 hour. You lose this trend, then you're coming back down to probably touch this 627. You lose 627, like I said, there's a good chance you're coming back down to 600, 294, 295, that area. But as long as you're above this, it's bullish. Yeah, I can check out INTC. Intel Core. Let's go look at some Intel. Oh, Intel got smacked. All right. So let's look at where we're at. So we're not far from resistance. Not far from weekly resistance, at least. On the daily, we broke a daily high around 51, and then when you go down to the 4 hour, it's just you could see what happened in the last 4 hours of when this was open. It just dumped off some news. Now, what is it bouncing off of? Well, there's a little bit of a trend I can kind of make out. Right, it's not the greatest, but it's there. Kind of getting a little bit of a bounce there. There it is, something like that. All right. So you're getting a little bit of a bounce off this trend. You haven't lost the 4 hour low around 45.50. That's where I would watch for support. If we lose this trend, 45.50 is your $46. Let's call it 46 is your major low. Like you don't want to lose that, otherwise you're flirting with a bigger move down on the 4 hour. To the upside, I mean, hey, look, you had that resistance at around $50. You blew through that, blew right past it. So this might not even be like major resistance anymore. It's not being respected as much. So I think your resistance is really this 56, 55.50, 56. So these are your levels. There's not much in between this and that, but I mean, you're getting a little bit of a reaction here. So that could be poised to maybe make a move up soon. I mean, the oscillators don't look terrible on the 1 hour. 4 hours still pointing straight down, and the daily looks overcooked. So maybe it does need to pull back. Maybe it's just going to chop around while some of the higher time frames reset. But yeah, those are your levels, man. That's what I would watch. Let me see what the volume was doing too. That's the one other thing I want to check. The volume wasn't doing anything too crazy. It's still going up. Yeah. Yeah, watch this trend, man. Watch this trend and watch it $46. Those are your levels. You start losing that, you could come back down to 35. And above, your resistance is 55. Break 55, and you're back going to attack this $67, $68 high. That's how high it could run up to if it decides to break that. But what you don't want to see is this. So see this high right here? You don't want to see this just be a giant SFP. Because maybe it ran up, swept, because you can't see it on the daily, but you can see it on the 4 hour. Maybe it ran up, swept this high, and if it starts to close back under 51.50, it's not going to be good, because that means that it's going to probably have a bigger drop. So then you might start to see this $46, maybe possibly lower, come into play. So it's really crucial that it starts to close back above 51.50. Otherwise, this thing could actually start to roll over. But that's just what the charts are saying. Let me go check out Amazon. Someone's asking about Amazon. Alright, we got a CME gap. I'm going to draw this real quick before I do anything else. And then I'll zoom out. So, CME gap right there. Let's label it. Alright, now let's zoom out and see what's happening. Alright, well, I have some TA on this. So, let's talk about it real quick. Sorry. So look, Amazon's been in an uptrend for quite a bit of time. Gotta go to the weekly to show this. So look at the uptrend on Amazon. Back from January 23, we did have that tariff scare back in April. That everything pretty much nuked like this anyway. But it managed to reclaim the trend, and it's still holding. And it's consolidating near the previous all-time high, which is around 240, 241. It did pierce it a few times, but no real breaks and closures above there. It's just kind of like grab liquidity and then dump. So look, that trend is still support. It's still going to hold that support for now. In the meantime, we are... Get rid of this real fast. I don't know why I had that drawn there. In the meantime, you're just kind of putting in higher lows. Right? You got higher low, and you're pushing up against that resistance. So this is telling me this looks like it wants to break out. Are we gambling? No, we're not gambling, man. Maybe you're gambling, not us. Not me, at least. So look, maybe it's just it's banging its head against this. You knock against a door enough times, eventually that door is gonna break off. Or like you bang against a door enough times, eventually it breaks. But look, you start to lose this trend and you start to lose this major trend, then this thing's coming down. I would say the bullish sentiment's gone. In the short term, look, you broke a trend right here from this high, right? And you can see price action came down. It was respecting this trend when we broke it. We back tested it. Now we're attacking what? The CME gap we left behind. It's actually a bigger CME gap. It runs all the way up to here. So now we're attacking the CME gap that takes us up to 238. So if it's going to put a lower high in and roll over, this 238 is probably the area I would be watching for. If it starts to break this 241, there's a good chance it's going to try to take the highs again. So this is the real big level. It's this 240 to 241. If you can get back above there, this thing it's probably going to put in new highs. Has a good chance of putting in new highs. But for now, the trend's up. I wouldn't fade this. Wouldn't fade it. But look, support's around 227. You have this local trend that I'm talking about, and then you have the macro trend. So you start losing to 222, 223, you're probably coming down a lot further. How about you scalping 925? Do you have? Yeah, we do have a Discord, Zay. It's you can get our Discord if you go to our website tacticaledgetraders.com. It's in the links are in the bio. It's right in the description of the TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok, if not on YouTube, it's in bio. And then you can actually click join Discord right from there. Discord's free. Check us out. I think I ran INTC ran up too much. It could have, man. It may have. How about you scalp at 925? It's funny you say that. I know guys in my trading group, right, that make more money in one day trading than most people make in a year. I'm not joking. I know guys that make that much money trading. It's crazy, but this is true, man. If you know what you're doing. What do y'all do in the live tradings? So the live tradings start like this every morning. So we do New York session Monday through Friday, 8:30, an hour before the market opens. We sit down, the whole group of us, whoever's trading for the day. We go over levels. We go over trading plans. So like Ben will usually talk about his levels that he's watching, whether it's like a Tokyo high, London high, session sweeps, areas of interest. We go over order flow. We go over what our sentiment is for the day, kind of thing. And then we wait. We wait for the market to open. And then when the market opens, as price starts to react, move, we start to react. We give call outs, but we don't give signals. We're not going to hey, we're entering right now, but I'll let you know when I'm in a trade. Like, oh, like, hey, that trade we talked about, I took it. I'm in profits. Here's where my stop loss is. Here's my entry. This is what I'm looking to get out of it. Like, if I have a target, I'll tell people my target. So that's kind of how we trade, and we do that every day. Can you send me $5? Do I can trade so you can trade? Yeah. I see you can gamble it and lose it. If you're asking for money to trade, it's not a good sign. But yeah, look, dude, Amazon, just track this little trend right here. Got a little trend on the lower time frames. On the hourly, you're pushing into a CME gap. You know, could just continue up and fill this gap. You got this trend here. Maybe it makes its way up higher. So, sorry, I got a little off topic there. Thoughts on USD JPY? I noticed the last 3 months DXY is sideways, but the US is bullish. Well, yes, if you're looking at it that direction, yes, it is bullish. But if you're looking at the JPY USD, it's bearish. So thoughts on this thing? I mean, it's up, man. But we are at resistance. So if something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in this area. Right? You can see this is major resistance, and we're right up against it. So if it's gonna reject, this would be the area to reject. But I wouldn't go fading it until it gives us gives us the okay to do so. That was the first trend. If you go down to the daily, there's probably another trend here. You can track from maybe right there. There it is. So you got a couple trends. It just looks strong, man. As long as it's above this trend, it's going to keep pushing up. I would watch 162. That's the high. There's going to be a reaction there, whether it busts through and keeps going, or whether it rejects there. If you lose this trend, it's probably going to roll over, maybe down to like 152 is the next major area. It could probably catch a bounce somewhere around this trend. Maybe it comes a little lower to like 150. But yeah, I think there's going to be something. We got the BOJ rate decisions tonight. I think they're going to talk about this. How do you read order flow for trap traders? There's different ways to do it, man. There's different indicators to use it. We use not exo charts, but they use the trading view. You can look at the delta inside the candles. You can see like the volume inside of them. See how many longs and shorts are coming in. That's how Ben does it. Me personally, I look for divergences. I don't use order flow for that. I just use momentum, and I use money flow and stuff like that, and volume to tell me when traders are trapped. Candlesticks, that kind of stuff. I'm old school. But yeah, you can join the Discord, dude. There's a lot of stuff on that. You're probably better off talking to Ben or Nick about order flow. That's more of their bread and butter, and they'll give you some good information on it. It's free, so not gonna hurt you any for joining. Thinking of shorting once 1 week time frame turns bearish. On what? On USD? Yeah, right. I mean, is it bearish yet though? I guess 162 would be the area I'd be watching. As far as momentum's still pointed up on the weekly. I don't see bear divs yet. Now, if this starts to roll over, right, where it's at, this starts to roll over like that while it's putting in new highs, that could be an early sign of something to come on the weekly. So that's something to watch. What else you guys want to look at? I got some more time. That's about 9:20. Otherwise, I'm going to go look at Bitcoin, see what it's doing. Tesla? I can look at Tesla. Oh, BTC's chipping on up, man. Getting a little pullback, though. Hitting resistance. Tesla and Hood. Oh, is that Robinhood? Yeah, we could look at those. I just want to see one thing real quick. Okay, money flow's still coming up on the 1 hour. That's good. That's good sign. 4 hours still pointed up. All right, BTC's looking good for now. Let's go look at Tesla. Wow, can't spell. All right, well, had a lot of TA on Tesla. I was talking about this one in the Discord. So Tesla's been in an uptrend since March, like a lot of things, right? This has been its trend. These are all just local levels I marked off along the way. That's all I like to do when I TA. But yeah, it's been in an uptrend. The all-time high sits at 488. We tapped it once back in December, and we had a pullback. Now we are putting in a higher low. We came back down. We retested this trend. We had a local level, right around 425 I was watching. We deviated below it, but we regained it, which was really to essentially get that trend. And yeah, Tesla broke this downtrend we've been in since the high. So when it pierced that high, it started to create a downtrend. We just broke out of it. So what I'm seeing for Tesla, at some point it's going to pull back, right? You expect it's going to get a pullback. I would probably use that pullback if you're bullish to maybe load up to go long. Not financial advice, but if I was trading this thing, I'd be looking for something like this. Wait for this high right here to get broken. Once that high is broken, I'm looking for any higher lows to get in on. And then my target would be the highs around 500. Be a nice little trade there if you can catch something like that. But you want to let market structure shift first, because look, on the daily, you still have a low and a lower low. And although you are attempting to break the previous swing high on the daily, you don't have a market structure shift. This is just be a break of structure. So we would need more to get bullish on this on the higher time frames. On the 4 hour, I think now you don't have it on the 4 hour either. So let's see if this 450 level can break. If we can break that, then you look for a higher low at some point. Maybe look for it to flip, or you look for a higher low to get put in anywhere above the previous low around 418. That's why you look for the highs. But above this trend, bullish. And I think the highs are in target, $500. Bought some 60. Okay. You missed Amazon, dude. We did Amazon like 5 minutes ago, literally 5 minutes ago. How do you get the MFI indicator you're using? MFI? You mean Market Cipher? This? I purchased it from Market Cipher website, but you can also use Fu Manchu. It's a free version of it. Money flowing. Yeah, you're talking about. You have to be talking about that. Let me go look at Hood because somebody asked for Hood. All right. Well, she looks toppy if I'm being honest with you. It has ran up quite a bit this year. Down there, 3x, right? If you go to the daily, I'm sure. Actually, let me look at the indicators real quick. You got divergences on the weekly right here printing. Money flow starting to curve out. Go to the daily, you can see the divergences right here at the top. Yeah. So I think right now for Hood, it's kind of at decision point for it. So you're getting towards a major low, which is the weekly low. This is your weekly low right here. You lose this weekly low, it's probably going to signal a bigger move down. So that's your level. Around one, basically let's call it $100. If you lose $100, that's going to signal a bigger move down on it. Why? Well, you have your high, you have a swing low, you have a lower high on the weekly. If you break this, that will be a weekly market structure shift. That's the start of a downtrend. If you follow market structure in trading. So, usually those things result like this. They start this whole thing. Like, doesn't look like that perfectly, but you get what I mean. So, $100, 101 to 102. Basically, 100 to 102 is going to be a big area to hold to the downside. To the upside, you need to start breaking levels, man. Your daily level above you is pretty high up. It's not like anywhere close. It's at 120. That's the first level you got to crack to even start flipping bullish on like the higher time frames. You've got a little bit of a downtrend. Then you don't even really have a downtrend. I guess you kind of do right here. Maybe. But you're far away from the trend. You could pop up and still get rejected somewhere in this area, 120, 124. So I'd watch this thing. I'd watch that 102 level, and I'd watch above at 120. Anything between that's just noise in my opinion. If you look at the 4 hour, it kind of looks like it's bear flagging out. See what I mean? That looks like a bear flag to me. So let's see. Doesn't mean it's going to play out. I'm just speculating here, guys. This is just me like doing what I do. I mean, it would result in a liquidity sweep of all this. I don't know. I would monitor that though. If you're trading this, watch that 4 hour, see what's going on. Stay between those levels, and you're good. And it could do this too. It could just come down here, sweep, reclaim, and then run back up. Like that happens. You just have to be prepared, because this is a weekly level, so it's going to have a lot of liquidity there, and it's going to be a big pivot point for this asset. So that's really it. I got on this one. You start breaking above 120, you can start talking about higher levels, but for now, that's your range really. Wolf. What is wolf? Tarot wolf. Let's see what this is. What am I looking at? Okay. Jesus. Oh my god, dude. Alright, this is gonna be hard to TA. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. This thing's volatile as shit. Alright, so I'm just gonna give you local levels on this. I can't really give you too much above, because this thing just does whatever the fuck it wants, apparently. So you got a key level here, around $9. You can see why $9 is key. Support, resistance, we broke out, we back tested it. Right now, you're banging your head up against this level right here. You can see on the weekly why it's an important level. It's a weekly high. So it's right when we broke down, it was the pivot point before it rolled over again. It came further down. So this is the range you're in, essentially. So look, you got support at 9, you have resistance at 8, at 17 on the higher time frames. You get to your lower time frames, you're just chopping around, man. This is what you're doing. Not much happening here. If you're a range trader, I'm sure there's a lot of plays here, but yeah, you're just in a range right now. It looks like they took liquidity once, but they didn't take it here. They took this high. So, yeah. I mean, if you got dips down to $9, that might not be a bad area. And if you do get sweeps up here into the $17 area, it might not be a bad area to short on the short term. Now, there's not much happening else other than that. It's just a range. They're attempting to make a climb here because you got a 4-hour shift, 4-hour low, 4-hour high, swing low, and then you broke it. So if it can hold above this low right here around 12, create a higher low, there's a good chance that this just continue up. It'll just continue to move up. It's just market structure 101, right? Boom. If it can continue to do that. But if it starts to lose this low here, then you probably flirt with coming back down here to this $11 level. So, all my little drawings. Alright, let me go one by one on these things. Are you on TradingView? Yeah. I couldn't find stock RSI. Dude, stock RSI is like one of the most it's on everything. Any exchange I've ever been on, they have a stock RSI like built in. Alright, so let me go over AMPX. That was the next one on there. Empress? What is Empress? This is cool. Okay. Fuck, what is going on here? Alright, so that was the breakout. So you had a little bit of a cup and handle here, right? Little cup broke out. Now you're getting a back test. So can it hold this, generally this $8 to $9 level? If it can, then yeah, you're probably going to mark up. Seem to be resistance quite a bit. Now it's support. Locally, you got a little bit of a flag that may have been broken out already. May have broken out of this thing already. Let me see. Does it respect it? Yeah, this thing may have broken out. Let me see what volume looks like. Volume's really not too impressive. I don't know if I trust this, but 4-hour looks better. So look, if this is indeed a breakout, which it may be, you still need to take out this high around 1250. So if you can take out this high at 1250, come up, take out this high, then come back and put a higher low in, I would imagine that you're going to contact this high at 16. That's probably the next target. And if you can break that 16 level, who the hell knows? I don't really know with this one. This one's really hard to TA. I guess I would watch volume on the higher time frames too, because it's flagging out on the weekly, starting to curve back up. So this could be early signs of something good. So keep an eye on this one. This could be bullish. I guess you probably, yeah, that $15, $16 level is the next area if you can break that high. We talked around 1250. And to the downside, look, if you lose this trend, if you get acceptance back into this trend for any reason, you're coming back down to at least $8. That's the low there, but really you're probably going to come attack this low here. So you could come down to the low 8s if you do go, because like failed breakouts are usually more, but they're stronger moves in the long run. The failed breakouts, because it takes liquidity, traps traders, it's the whole thing. Thoughts on Oracle? Let's go look and I'll tell you. Alright, Oracle's breaking down. Sorry about that, guys. TikTok's yelling at me for inactivity. I don't get that thing, but it is what it is. Alright, so Oracle. Look, we filled the CME gap, right, from a while back. I'll go to the weekly for this. So there was a CME gap here on the weekly. We filled it. That would have been a great area to bounce. Lines up with, I think, the golden pocket. Yeah, like right on the 786. So if we're going to bounce, this is going to be the area it's going to do it from. So right now you're on watch. You're on watch to see if this is going to put in a higher low for Oracle. There may be some divergences. Let me see if there's anything. I mean, there's a little bit forming on the daily right here. Let me get rid of market cipher. So you can see like we were coming into this low here and momentum is shifting up. So you were forming divergence, but you're starting to kind of like, the momentum needs to shift up now if it's going to keep that divergence. So maybe this could be a low in the short term. I think what I would do is go down to this time frame here on the 4 hour, right? Track this trend right here. See that trend it's in? If that trend breaks, that's going to be your early sign on the 4 hour that the trend is, that this is a reversal. So that's what I would do. Use that trend, and if it does reverse, well, where do you think it's going? I think it's going to come fill the CME gap up here on 218 that it failed to fill before. It came up here but never filled it, unfortunately. You can't really see the CME gaps for some reason. I don't know what's up with this. There it is. You can see it on the daily. So you see what I mean? It never filled it. So if we reverse here, I think that would probably be the target for me as a trader at 218. But yeah, one step at a time. Track that trend on the 4 hours. See what happens. If you start to lose this low here, it's gonna open up that you're coming down a lot further, because this is the last like hope here. This is your 786. This is your CME gap. There's nothing really below us besides the major low at 121. How long have I been trading? 5 years, 6 years going on maybe? I don't know. No, about 5 years. It's going on 5 years. Been on and off trading before that, but I got real serious in 2023 with my trading and really honed in on it, and then I've just been doing it since then. It's fun, man, but it's fucking stressful. It's stressful if you don't have, like, you got to be able to deal with your emotions and stuff with trading, and you got to be able to deal with a loss, because you're gonna lose. Anybody tells you they don't lose in trading, they're fucking full of shit. It's all probability. ACHR. Let me look at IWM first, and I'll look at that. I want to make sure I get everybody's. The Russells. I heard the Russells popped. Called that out the other day. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. I drew this out because that's what I thought was going to happen. And look. That's cool. It was a bull flag. Russell's in an uptrend, man. There's no fade in it right now. Why I thought it was going to bounce there was pretty much this. It's that high right there. Had pierced it, but never closed above it. Broke. Came back up. Back tested to make sure it was legit, and then took off. So we were looking for a consolidation into that back test to see if it was going to continue. So it's going, man. Russell's bullish. There's no reason to get bearish on it. This is the lower end of the trend. So as you build up on this thing, right, the support comes up with it. So right now, immediate support, major support's down at like 245, but you got some support here at the previous high, which is around 258. So you can watch these levels to the downside. I wouldn't get in front of this thing. It's just going. Just continue to just monitor it. I mean, that's all you can do. Play it level to level with this thing. I don't really know where it's going. I wish I could tell you. I don't think it's ever been this high before. None of the markets have. So everything's price discovery here. But look at this level, man. We flipped. This is a big level, guys. This is a huge level. That's from 2021 a high. So if this thing really wants to run, man, this thing's going to go. It's going to go. Might be up to $300 before we know it. So you're starting to learn what's most useful than practice paper trade. That's the way to go, dude. That's the way to go. I mean, here's the way. Here's the timeline you should take as a trader. First off, figure out if you want to be a trader. Get a realist. Talk to someone who actually is a trader, so they give you a realistic, like, overview of what's ahead. It's not months; it's years to hone and become a good trader. But the first couple years are going to be painful. They can be less painful if you know who's trading shekels. Yeah. They can be less painful if you have guidance and you know how to weed out all the bullshit, right? If you can kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that a lot of traders do, but surrounding yourself with experienced traders, that's one way to like kind of expedite it. But you're going to have to learn the charts. You're going to have to like figure the markets out from experiencing it, because the emotions, no one can tell you what it's like. No one's going to be able to tell you when you smash short and the candle goes long on you, and you're in like a 10x leverage trade on Bitcoin, and then like it just runs up, hits your stop loss, or you don't have a stop loss. You know, the panic that's going to run through you, or the anger, or despair, whatever it may be. So you'll have to experience that. That takes time to master. The TA, I can teach a TA in 3 weeks. Like seriously. I can teach you how to read the charts. Everything else is tough. I do have to go over AACHR. So that's Russell. Sorry, I went on a tangent there, man. Got to be careful with questions you guys ask me, because I like to talk. Sometimes too much. Alright, so apparently I TA'd this before. Alright, it's pretty obvious what's happening here. We had lost a major low on the week, right? And we're getting a bearish retest where we're pushing up. But what I do like, and it is kind of bullish for the short term, look at this. Anybody know what this pattern is? I already had it drawn out, but I want to redraw it just to kind of for the effect. It's an ascending triangle. That's a reversal pattern. When these break out more often to the upside than to the downside, measured move of this would take us back up to this high right here, right around 1150. So if we break out of this $9 level, there's a chance we're coming up to 1150, maybe a little higher potentially. If we break down, then you're looking down at 650 first, and then maybe down to this wick at 550. Those are your two levels to the downside. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on ACHR. Internally, there's not really much happening. You're at resistance, right? Your immediate support is obviously this low at 813 and this trend, and your immediate resistance, you're at it. So if you're looking for this trade, you look for this, for the breakout, you'll wait for the retest, and then boom. That's what you look for. Or if it does pull back, you wait for the pullback here, and then you get in on the bounce. But that's a little scarier. A lot of times you're going to think it's going to break down, and they don't always happen. So trading with a broker, nice. 75% right. Good, congrats, man. 75% win rate's really good. Zeta, and then I can do MRVL. What is Zeta? Zeta, like the Zeta Global? Like the stock? Interesting. Let's see. So we got trend. Oh wow. I wonder if I can do that. Hold on. Let's see if this works. Sometimes I have to look at a chart for a little bit to kind of see the patterns and let them talk to me. Yeah, yeah, that works. So it is in a parallel channel. That's your resistance. That's your support down here. You have more immediate resistance a little bit higher up around $26.50. So, and then you have support, which you're bouncing off of right now. Right here. Which you're bouncing off of this little support. So around 20 bucks. 20 bucks is support. Right, immediate resistance is around 24, but you could go probably as high as 26 if this thing decides it wants to run. If you lose this level at $20, you're looking closer to around $18. Look for this trend to hold. Loss of this trend's telling you a bigger move down's coming, probably back down to like $10 or lower. But in the short term, it looks okay. It's holding right here. It swept some liquidity. It's running up. Yeah, looks good. Probably going to come attack these highs again around 24. I would not be surprised. We'll see what happens. A lot of times these things, you just do this until they don't. They just, until it either breaks up or it breaks down. Like that's the end result of these channels. They pick a direction. Could be consolidation to make a big move down, which I don't think it is. It just gives us a ceiling. It gives us a floor and a ceiling to kind of bang our heads on so we know when to take profits. So, that's cool. Let's look at MRVL. Yeah. And then I can look at gold, sure. Not much to tell you about gold besides it's fucking going, man. Gold's going right now. Alright. Well, I was talking shit about this thing before. Let me remove all my TA. Same scenario. It was in a parallel channel, right? A very clear parallel channel. Could be a bear flag. Could just be a channel to go up. I mean, the all-time high is 125, and the low that it put in is around 44. We are how far up on the retrace? Well, we hit the 618, so that's not a good sign. So really what you want to see here is this. Look, you need to look for a bounce at this level. You can't lose this low. I'll just draw. These are the two lows you need to like monitor. So this wick right here around 73, and this trend. So if you're looking for a bounce and looking to stay bullish on this thing needs to hold somewhere around here to continue up. If it loses these levels, it's probably coming down to take out this $44, $46 level below and might be coming even lower because that would be the breakdown. It probably, my guess is if it takes out this low, the next low is around 34. That's higher time frame stuff. If I'm looking on like the lower time frame, it's going in a way I got confused. Bullish sharp pattern. Shorter time frame stuff, right? On like the 4 hour. Watch this trend. That's kind of developing here. So if you're looking for a move to the upside, you want to see this trend broken first. As long as it's below this trend, it's coming down. So if it starts to flip, that's when you know that's an early sign that you're reversing to make your way up. So yeah, those are your levels. What else we got? Somebody asked for gold and then core weave. I can do that, guys. Sure thing. Silver's going nuts. I was long silver today, too. Alright, so gold, man. It's hard to TA gold anymore, if I'm being honest with you. Fucking gold just keeps going. It just keeps fucking going. Um, I 5,000, man. That's all I can say. I think 5,000 is the level you're watching. This was this is what it did. It just like faked out on the gap. Didn't even go for it, and just ran straight up. We've been watching it for a while. We were watching this money line last week, and then into last week, and it's just been holding and it's been running. And it's creating a new money line now, right here. You can see that right there. So that's your new money line or new trend. So you're looking for support right now. Your support is this. It's around this 4888. That's your support, and you have this lower trend. As long as it's above these two things, trend is up. Where I think we go, I 5,000 just seems like it's the target. I would wait for 5,000 to see what happens. This will be your early indicator for breaking down. You start to lose this trend, boom. And in a higher time frame, if you start to lose this trend here that we have been running up for a couple weeks, then you're probably going to come down a lot further. There's a lot of trends you can draw, a lot of levels, but I think if you lose this trend here, it's going to be the bigger drop. That's like a $300-400 drop on gold, because gold has just been running up since then. So, but yeah, that's gold, man. 5,000, I think, is where it's headed to. Maybe a little higher. Yeah, I feel you there, dude. All right, I want to look at two more, then I think I'm going to call it for the night, guys. I'm a little low energy tonight. Sorry about that. Just tired. All right, let me. Core weave. All right, core weave is core weave is in a little bit of a channel. I actually gave this trade out too. I gave out the inverse head and shoulders on core weave. So that's where I think you're headed to, this trend maybe. Because you're in a downtrend on the macro, right? Lower lows, lower highs. Later, man. Appreciate you tuning in, dude. Where are you above? You're above this little support right here. You flipped. You can actually track it all the way back from here. Run it straight across. And like that's the level. That's an important level apparently for this asset. Around 85, 86. So you flip that level. If it can get back above this here, which I think it's probably on its way up to. I think as long as it holds above this 85, 86 level, I think it's on its way up to 115, 116. This intersects with this trend here, right? So, maybe it fucks around for a little bit, makes its way up, boom. If it can break that, then you're probably coming to attack the highs here and probably the highs here at some point. But I think if you're going to get a rejection, it's going to be somewhere around this 115, maybe even up to 120, depending on how fast it gets up there. So it would look something a little bit like this, the way I'm kind of envisioning it. Let me, so maybe like, if you're going to make your way up, do a bounce here, you come up, get rejected, and then roll down and continue the downtrend. But if it does break the trend and it starts to break up, then you have to imagine that that's going to attack this high, go for this high here. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on core weave. Apple. I can look at Apple. I just closed the trade out on Apple. Let me see if I can find the trade. I'll show you later. It don't matter. I gotta sit here and brag. I got two more in me. I'm gonna look at SMCI, then I'm gonna look at Apple. And I think I'm gonna jump after that, guys. So I'm a little tired today. Jesus, look at all the scribbles on this one. Apparently I really went into it last time with the TA. I can't even tell you what the hell I was thinking here. I have to look at it fresh again. Okay. I see why. So, what happened here? Micro or super microcomputer was consolidating in a wedge. It broke down from that wedge. Came down to this low right here, catching a bounce. So what I'm thinking is this, because one, daily high, daily low, lower high, market structure shift right here at this 39. So the expectation is it's going to do something like this. It's going to come back up and then it's going to roll back over, and then come take out these lows here eventually. So for now, it's catching support. So can't really like get too bearish about it. If you look at the momentum oscillators, you can see the bullish divergence starting to form right on the daily. I can just tell by price action sometimes when there's divergences. But yeah, this is definitely apparently I can't use this thing the right way. There we go. Alright. Do you see what I mean though? Momentum shifting down as momentum shifting up as price is shifting down into support. That's bullish divergence. So on the lower time frames, that's your low, 28. You're probably coming up to attack this high here. You can see you banged your head once, twice right there. If you break this, and I'm going to show you on the chart why this is important to break that level. Alright, let's do it this way. See how the volume falls off right here? The volume fades. That is a low volume gap. That'll take you up into about the bearish retest back around 39-40 bucks. It's all gate kept by this $35 level. So if you break 35, you're probably going to gap up to like 41, 42 pretty quickly. So it's important to see what happens there. But for now, that's resistance. This is support. It could chop around here for a while. It could just do this until it figures out if it wants to move up or do the opposite, move down. I'd probably be betting more up based on the divergences, though. That's just my feelings on it. How often do we stream? I stream like two to 3 days a week, mostly Sundays and Mondays, and then Ben and Nick take over the other 2 days. They're my partners. We're tactical edge trading, just a group of traders. That's the 3 of us, and then there's a huge group of us in the Discord. We trade live together. We do TA, education, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Apple, and then I think was the last one I was gonna probably do was Apple, just because I'm fucking tired, guys. Oh man! All right, so let me talk about Apple here. I'll give you some context on it. I went short and closed my Apple short out a while back. Well, actually closed half of it out 2 days ago. I opened the short I think 3 weeks ago. Been sitting in this thing. So Apple's been in an uptrend for a while, right? This channel, every time we get to the top of the channel, we reject and come down to the bottom of the channel. So Apple, what did it do? It got to the top of the channel. What did it print? Head and shoulders pattern. That's a reversal. What else did it do? Well, it broke the uptrend that started at the bottom of the channel. So that was the first sign. That was the big signs just in your face that this thing's coming down. I went short here. It ran down. We bear flagged out. I can show you on the 4 hour. Perfect little bear flag, right? Called it out here. Called it out there. Actually called it out up here as well in the Discord. So a lot of people in the Discord did. I think some people did take this trade. I'm not sure if everybody did, but anyway. When a bear flag came down, it went to a key level, which was right here. Why is it a key level? Because it's a daily level. We lost this daily low here. This is the next daily level to attack. It's bouncing there. I kind of figured it was going to bounce, so I cut my trade there. I don't know what's going to happen from here. It could theoretically, look, realistically, the way it went down, and I just want to kind of show you like what price action does. Price moves weird, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves in waves of 3 to the downside, but with like retracements. There's probably going to be some type of A, B, C correction before another pump down. That's just my guess, because things don't just break down forever. You get what I'm saying? So I think there's going to be some type of bounce. I don't know if it's here or if it's a little bit further down, but if I'm going to re-enter a short, I'll look for a bounce. For now, I think you're getting temporary support. Could catch a little bounce here and then a rollover. If you were looking for a spot, I would say look further up towards like the 618. So 2 levels you can look at are 260 right here for any type of rejections. If it's going to put a lower high and if it decides to bounce, then I'll probably look around 271. Those areas just make sense on the chart too. If you go down to the lower time frames, you can see like this lines up with a 382, which is also a pivot high, and this is like the start of the breakdown basically. So basically this entire area up here around 273. So if we do start to bounce, those are your major resistances. You can look for a rollover, or potentially if you're looking to go short and continue the downtrend, those are the areas I'd be looking. Um, but I think ultimately, it's coming down here, just like it did here when it was at the high. It came down to the low, just like it did here. It came down to the low. So I think that's the target, man. I think it could make its way down to 220, maybe down to 215, depending on how fast it gets there. It's the same way it went up is the same way it's going to go down. It's stair-stepped up. It's going to stair-step down. And they're going to be big pullbacks, too, so it'll be good opportunities to get in. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was like up here I was talking about it. I didn't have the balls to get into a broke trend, though, so when it broke trend, that was my trigger to get in. I got in on the retrace. I actually cashed out of it. Let me see if I can find the... I'll show you the trade. I gotta go pull it up on the Discord and show you guys. It was kind of funny. It was a little bit of a fucking... It was a little bit of the degen trade. There's the trade right here. Here, I'm gonna show you guys. I gotta pull it onto this screen. So that's my Apple trade. That was only half the position, by the way. I closed the other half, but I didn't close at the same price. I closed the other half for closer to 100%. It was like $700. So the total I think was about $1,750, and I was like close to an average of like 115%, 115% P&L. But yeah, it was nice. It was a cool trade. I just sat and I didn't do anything. All right, I got one more. Somebody asked for LAC, and then I'm gonna jump, guys. Alright, something. I did TA this already. Jeez, I TA'd a lot of things already. Okay, so this is good. Look, it looks good. So we bounced off the area we were talking about. That was probably a CME gap. You have a weekly shift in structure here. So you had a low and then a slightly higher low. Or an equal low. Anyway, you broke the weekly high. And you came back and back tested it. You can see you're back testing it now and you're trying to gain support. So what's the next target is probably going to be somewhere up here around $7, I would imagine. Yeah, look at that. So $7 area right here. You can see how it gets hung up just a little bit, right? Not a lot, but just enough that you can see a little reaction on the candlesticks. See right here? Banged into it. Support, kind of like faded into it and then rolled over. So that would probably be the next target of this. So if this can hold, which it looks pretty good for now, it's holding as support. This is your next target eventually. You got a nice CME gap up here that needs to get filled. Right? Little CME gap. Could be a target. Who knows? If you're that type of trader, that might be a target for you to get out. But yeah, I'll just draw that out for myself. But yeah, I mean, let me see what the divergence is, if there's any. I mean, you had bullish divergences down here. You see the momentum shifting up as price is pushing down into support. That was your spring on the daily. You got it here on the weekly. Look at this. Low. Lower momentum, right? What's price action doing? Price action's shifting up. That's a weekly bullish divergence right there. That's freaking insane. And that's a hidden bullish because technically this is a low, this was a high, this is a higher low, even though it was a really like long bottom. This was the continuation, right? So like this became a continuation pattern. So like this is now your pump. Now we're putting in another higher low. So like you pretty much had like hidden bullish divergence, then you have some more hidden bullish divergence right here. But this could signal that this is another move up. So these are the levels I'd be watching. And if you can break this $7, $8 level, man, I mean, you're probably coming up to take this wick here around 10, potentially higher. But I think take it one level at a time. But this looks really good for now. Looks good. I don't say that about a lot of things. I'm going to show you something else that's pretty freaking bullish too. Alright, so I don't talk about market cipher a lot because I really try not to like hone in on it, but this is freaking perfect. If you're trading this thing, money flow, curving up, right? The momentum wave is coming up. When you get these big waves that cross these lines at the bottom, and they start to get smaller, and you get this tight little wave right here. They see this, that's called a trigger wave. Anchor wave, anything below this 50 line right there, that's considered an anchor wave. Anything that comes in tight like that, that's a trigger. That's often a market structure shift on the charts. When did that show up? It showed up exactly when we broke the weekly high. But that, when it lines up like that, those are usually strong moves for the indicator. So that's like that's confirming that this is a good break. So I just want to throw that out there because I don't see that very often on a weekly. Like, that's a strong indicator for me. Like, that's almost, I take that trade almost all. If it looked like that on the 15, I would take that trade every time. I don't think, unless it was like during a Trump speech. That's probably the only time I wouldn't take it. Anybody in the group have a 9-5? Yeah, we have a few people that work. A lot of people work. Not everybody's a full-time trader. I mean, I have side gigs. I'm not 100% a trader. Like, I make most of my money from trading, but I have like other businesses I run that are more passive. But like, not a 9 to 5, but it requires my attention. But that's the beauty of trading. You make it work for you. You can have a 9 to 5 and still trade. You just trade on higher time frames. That's all. You don't trade on the 15 or an hourly. You trade on like the 4 hour and the daily. Can you explain the strike price? I don't even know what a strike price is, dude. I don't know options. I trade futures. What are your indicators, especially the volume under the candle chart? So I use regular volume, VWAP, moving. It's just regular moving averages, VRVP, which is this one right here on the right hand side. That's the visible range volume profile. And then I use market cipher down here at the bottom, which you've seen me talk about. And then I use the stochastic RSI. Those are my indicators. I keep it simple. Anyways, guys, I'm getting ready to jump. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you're not following us, give us a follow on TikTok, on YouTube. If you're interested, this is something that you like, this sparked any interest, if you're aspiring to become a trader or you are a trader and you're looking for people to talk about trade ideas, balance strategies, any of that kind of stuff, or just to be around, to have the camaraderie, check out our Discord, and then check out our website, Tactical Edge Trading, or tacticaledgetraders.com. Links in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be in the bio. And then, yeah, check us out, man. It's free to join. We're a chill group. And, yeah, if you have questions and stuff, join the Discord. Tag me, Unfair Philly. That's my tag in there. Just tag me and I'll answer whatever questions you guys have in more description than being on live, where I can only like kind of answer like momentarily. We can actually have a discussion. But I appreciate it, guys. You guys have a good one.